Hey guys, it is Carly bringing you day number 7 of my 31 Days of Horror series. Of course, this is a series where I review a horror movie every day for the month of October, and yeah, we are 7 days in, a whole weekend, so hopefully I can keep this going. Today I'm going to be doing Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, just having this double pack with Halloween 5 right next to it. Got this many years ago when I was younger, but anyway, yeah, Halloween 4 basically is 10 years after Michael has been burned in the hospital. He is found to be locked up in this maximum security place, and they are moving him. I forget why, it's some sort of government thing, but they're basically trying to move him to a different facility, and he's basically immobile. He's all bandaged up because obviously he was burnt in that horrible fire, and so you're led to believe he is harmless. But as they're moving him, he sort of awakens when he hears about the fact that he has a niece who is still alive, and he is ready to kill again. And of course, Dr. Loomis finds out and comes back to try to make things right and kill Michael off. So that's the basic plot there. Sure, many people know about this movie. If you don't, I don't know why you're watching these videos, because of course everyone knows the Halloween franchise by now. But anyway, yeah, I've always liked this movie quite a bit. I always think like I don't like it that much, but I think that's more along the lines with Part 5, which of course I'm going to be rewatching in a few days. I was pleasantly surprised with Halloween 4. I actually enjoyed it quite a bit watching it tonight. I feel like the setting is very much a fall setting. Like, you could tell it was filmed in the fall. Like, the trees don't have leaves on them. There's dead leaves all over the ground, and it just looks like it's cooled outside. As opposed to, like, the first Halloween, I looked it up, and I believe it was filmed in the spring in California, and you can kind of tell that, like, there really aren't too many leaves on the ground or anything in that movie, and like the scenery's kind of more green than it would be in fall. Not saying it's a bad movie, but they do their best with making a Halloween setting, but I feel like this one does it stronger just because you definitely can tell it was filmed in either fall or even close to winter maybe. But so I do appreciate that about it. As I've said in previous videos, like, the more Halloween the better for these types of films. Like, if you're going to make a Halloween movie, I like to feel like it is a Halloween movie set in that time period, so that's pretty cool. To get into characters, like, I think the Jamie Lloyd character is an alright addition. Like, the family aspect of it all kind of gets, like, a little ridiculous as you go along. Like, it kind of, like, makes the Michael Myers character seem a little bit weak to me. Like, I wish they didn't go with the family aspect, but I don't really mind it for this movie in particular. It was a good way to, I guess, bring him back to life, kind of, resurrect him. And I always liked Jamie's older sister Rachel as well. I've never really seen that actress in anything else. I don't know if she's done anything else, but I think she does a good job as the big, I guess, not really her sister, like adoptive sister, whatever they are. And Danielle Harris does okay in this movie. She's a child actress. I think she was like 10 or 11 when this movie was being made, and she's playing like an 8 to 9-year-old. And, some of her acting is a little choppy in some areas, but that's to be expected for a child actress. I think she does better than other child actors I've seen, so give her props for that. And of course, the Dr. Loomis character, one of the best characters in the franchise. He really is the one who kind of held it together for most of the movies. I really like him in this movie. It's a good return for him, although it is ridiculous that he got off with just like a big scar on his face and hands, and that's about it, when clearly he basically blows up in Part 2. And the same with Michael. I mean, they do a good job with, like, covering that up by putting him in bandages and making it look like should be completely, like, charred up and things like that. But at the same time, like, you would not expect these two characters to actually be alive in reality or able to be walking around at the very least. But, you know, for the sake of this movie, they had to do that. They wanted to bring Michael back, so, you know, it was a good way to bring them back, even though it's not too believable. You know, like, I really don't mind this movie too much. Like, I don't have too many problems with it. Like, the story isn't too bad to me. Like I said, it's got a good Halloween setting. I really like when they're out trick-or-treating, when it gets to be nighttime and they're trick-or-treating, and then of course they get the call that everyone should return home because they find out Michael might be roaming the streets, and then all of a sudden all you have is Jamie and Rachel out looking for each other because they lost each other while trick-or-treating, and all the other kids, like every single kid in town, is suddenly just gone. Like, their parents have come to pick them up, and it's just a really creepy vibe how it's just nighttime and you go from like all this excitement with all these young kids running around trick-or-treating like a normal Halloween night to just like a really creepy atmosphere where it just seems like it's these two characters running around with a killer on the loose. Like, I really like that about it. Like, I never really thought about that before this viewing, but it's got a pretty cool vibe to it. A lot of great shots there. And speaking of shots, like, I like the intro as well. It's not like the first three movies really, where you just see like a jack-o'-lantern being carved and things like that, but you get like a lot of cool scenes of just like houses and like decorations and Halloween settings, and I think that's a really cool couple of shots. Not too much more to say about this one that I can really think about. One more thing I wanted to touch on was really the mask in this one. I don't mind it too much. I know people have problems with the mask in these later films, but in this one I don't mind it. I think it's kind of creepy because it's just like, it's really just plain white, not a lot of facial dimension to it as opposed to the first two movies. But one problem I have always had with that is that Michael seems like a different character in every single movie besides like the first two. Like, I've just always felt like it's a different killer all around, just based on the mask and the look of the character. Where with like Jason or Freddy's obviously the same actor playing him over and over again, so clearly there's not really any changes with him. And then Jason, like, a hockey mask is a hockey mask. Like, even if you change it up a little, it still looks pretty much the same and the character looks the same. But with Michael Myers, like, I just get a different vibe from him for every single movie, and that always kind of bothered me, especially with when you get to like H2O, which I'll talk about later. Like, I don't like how it's supposed to be Laurie fighting off Michael, but it doesn't feel like the same Michael from the first one. But that's for a different review. Back to this one. Yeah, I don't have too many problems with this. The ending, of course, feels like a setup to something different, but then they decide to go into a different direction, which is totally fine. I feel like Loomis kind of freaking out at the end is a little bit cringy and like over the top, but at the same time, like, I guess it kind of makes sense because he just wants this whole thing to be over with, and then like it's restarting, so it kind of makes sense. But to see like an old man like break down like that, it just always, like, it's hard for me to watch, kind of. And yeah, that's about it. For this movie, I'm gonna give it a pretty solid high rating of an 8 out of 10. I do enjoy Halloween 4 quite a bit, so thank you guys for watching. I feel like this review was kind of all over the place, so I apologize for that, but it's late at night and I'm kind of tired, so my apologies. Once again, 8 out of 10 for Halloween 4. Thank you for joining me for day number 7, and I shall see you in day number 8.